Hi there, my name's Kate Smith, Managing Partner for Capella Associates, part of PMI, and this afternoon I'm talking to Matt Ellwood, one of our experienced trainers, about the subject of OTJ, off the job. We know that the funding rules require all apprenticeship learners to log OTJ time, and Matt's going to tell us all about how to do that successfully. So Matt, let's start by asking what OTJ is. Can you give us a definition?
Yeah, so OTJ is effectively time within your program that is ring fenced. So it's effectively time that you've got outside of your normal working day, normal working week, where it's protected, where you can go to explore and develop your key knowledge, skills and behaviours which are aligned to your apprenticeship, really.
Brilliant. So it's a gift from your employer, really, isn't it? That's saying, here's some time for you to have some development for yourself that we're going to support you in. Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely. So it is effectively that development time, Kate, that is really crucial to a delegate's development of their competency. So it's a very, very important aspect of a program, really.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important that it's logged as well, so that we know that time is being given by employers to their learners.
Yeah, I think one of the things about off the job is it's often misunderstood, and people tend to think of it as additional workload. It's not. It's effectively time that you've been gifted to by your organisation through the mere sign up of an apprenticeship that says we recognise the importance of developing our people. Therefore, we need to give those individuals the respect to have that time to develop the knowledge, skills and behaviours.
Yeah, brilliant. And what can be counted as off the job time? How's that categorised?
So how's that categorised? So it could be, for example, situations where your tutor, your trainer, your coach has set additional tasks, such as research tasks. It could be shadowing and mentoring a subject matter expert within your organisation. It could be research into particular tools and techniques. The kind of list really it's not an exhaustive list. It's kind of endless. As long as, the key thing to understand is a task that you work on really has to be underpinned by the knowledge, skill and behaviour. So, for example, if you've got a case statement, which is a knowledge statement, and it's around project management, how do you what task are you working on that demonstrates that you have knowledge of the principles of project management, of communications, of change management? There's each apprenticeship will have a list of KSBs, which effectively is the curriculum content of what you're going to be learning about. Point around off the job is that is the time for you to go away and start to embed these skills and for you to become more competent in the skill set. So the kind of advice I always give my delegates is start off with a familiarization of the KSBs. The lists are available. Your tutor, your trainer will provide you with a list. The lists are readily available in the Apprenticeship Hub. So that's a key resource there for you to review the KSBs within the Apprenticeship Hub. Just read through them, become familiar with them. Your coach then will be giving you advice and guidance on how to extrapolate the key information from the KSB. So, for example, if you've got a S18 as a particular knowledge, skill and behaviour statement, it's around experimentation and optimization. That's quite a wordy statement for a learner. What does experimentation and optimization mean? Your coach, your trainer, your tutor has the skill to be able to explain those in simpler terms, which I often find to be the benefit. This is where the benefit the delegate will have in simplifying what they mean. So it becomes not just a statement, but it actually means something.
Yeah. So the off-the-job time will be time that's in the classroom in scheduled sessions with the tutor. It'll be time in coaching sessions where they're asking questions directly with the tutor and kind of having some discussions around how they might apply that. And it's also
Yeah.
the time that they're spending in the workplace applying that learning to the projects, the tasks that have been agreed with the
The
tutor
research,
and
the
the line
tasks. Yeah,
manager.
absolutely.
Yeah. So you're
Absolutely.
saying it's the direct kind of application of that learning and the supporting stuff around research, maybe watching podcasts, PMI Live, some of the Uncommon
Absolutely,
Sense
yeah.
videos, great resource for building that broader
Yes.
understanding.
Super resource, because I think it would be fair to say that theory is theory. It's only upon its application that the theory becomes embedded within your psyche, within your knowledge. So that off-the-job time is really, really crucial. It gives you that opportunity to explore knowledge statements, to deepen your knowledge and your awareness of a particular topic. It gives you the opportunity to experiment with the practice, the skill. It gives you the opportunity to demonstrate the behavior. So that it's a really, really crucial part of the apprenticeship that I absolutely encourage people to become familiar with what those KSB statements are, appropriate for your apprenticeship. Two, to look for opportunities within the workplace, to engage with stakeholders, to have those open and honest conversations with your trainer as soon as it is possible, because OTJ logging starts at the beginning of the practical period of training. So it's something that you kind of have to become very quickly attuned to. What is it? How do I do it? And what is classed as OTJ? So I think there's a couple of key points I'd like to kind of specify with everybody. First and foremost, it has to be linked to the apprenticeship framework that you are indeed studying. Number two, it has to be directly related to the knowledge, skills, and behaviours, which effectively is the curriculum of the apprenticeship framework, and it has to take place within your normal working hours. If it doesn't take place within your normal working hours, then there has to be an agreement in place that specifies that time off and lieu will be given for you. And those three rules are kind of really factual and in place. And it's looking at the idea that if the KSB is the curriculum content of which you're going to develop, then the thing that you're doing has to be related to that curriculum content.
Yeah. And so anything that the learner is doing as part of their apprenticeship to build their knowledge, skills, and behaviours, whether it's time with Capella, in training, in coaching, in reviews, kind of group reviews, time when they're applying that learning in the workplace, time when they're doing supplementary things to support that, all of that counts as OTJ time.
Absolutely. As long as there is evidence within your entry that there is a specific K, S, or B statement. Okay, that's a really crucial part of OTJ logging.
Yeah. So let's talk about the logging. How does it work from a practical point of view?
So from a practical perspective, all learners will have access to a learner e-portfolio management system called OneFile. Within OneFile, you have the ability to log OTJ in an aspect of called timesheet entry. It's a very simple process where, in fact, you navigate to the OneFile portfolio. On the left-hand side of your OneFile portfolio, you will see a button that says timesheets. You click the timesheet entry, takes you to a page which gives you an element of open text. Within that open text, we're looking for a couple of things, really. What we're looking for is a very kind of specific entry of what the task is that you've been working on. Okay, so we're looking for specific entries of what it is you've been doing. Okay, what we're then looking for is, if you've been doing this task and this is what you say you've been doing, how does that task actually relate back to knowledge, skills, and behaviours? Okay, so we're looking for a task entry with specific statements of what you've been working on. We're looking for a K, S, or B statement linked to the task. And we're also looking for a reflective statement of, well, what has that done for you? How has that changed your understanding of the task? How have you developed?
So could you give us an example?
Let's say, for example, you're logging S18. S18 in my mind, is probably one of those KSBs that maybe scares a delegate. Okay, but it's a very simple skill statement when you look at the fundamental aspects of the statement. So S18, experimentation and optimization. Now, when a delegate reads the criteria assigned to a skills, it says experimentation optimization. So automatically delegates start to think of a design of experiment. But let's not forget, plan, do, study, act is an experimental learning cycle. So for example, what I would expect to see if there was a skills statement, S18, plan, with a description of what the plan is, what were the objectives, what does the do element of your entry look like, what was the thing that you did within your test, your experiment, what was the result of the experiment. So what we're really looking for is a statement of what you've done, the skills statement, and as a result, how did it feel? What was your reflection on the thing that you've been working on that aspect of work? So that takes into consideration the task statement. The second element you've got to do within your timesheet entry is determine, well, how much time did you spend on this activity? How much time? So it gives you do have the opportunity to specify start time, end time, and hours and minutes spent on this activity. So it sounds quite kind of complicated, but think of it as a diary. Think of it as a diary entry of your learning, and that's always a real benefit to the delegate to think, well, actually, all I'm doing here is keeping a diary of my development whilst on programs.
Yeah. So perhaps if I can reflect back, another example of an entry could be I've decided to watch the PMI live on emerging trends in continuous improvement, because that's going to help me to build my understanding of the wider world of improvement, and to also demonstrate my drive for results as one of the behaviour requirements. So I would write into my OTJ log the date when I did that, to say I've watched the episode, that links to behaviour statement, whatever reference number. And my reflection from that was that it really helped me to get a wider perspective that's going to inform my thinking on future strategy, absolutely, for example. And then I'd say, it was from 9 o'clock till 9:30, half an hour, happy days.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the real benefit of this timesheet entry or the diary, as I tend to call it with the delegates that I teach and train, is it gives you greater opportunity at the end of the program to reflect and to understand the journey that they've been on, because I think that's a really important part of an apprenticeship is to go, when I joined this apprenticeship, this is what I knew. And you can, if you reflect upon the timesheet entries over a 14-month program, you can see the development from your own perspective. And obviously I get that, and I have the pleasure and the luxury of being able to watch that development as they grow whilst on program. But I think it's always good for a delegate to go back and reflect and think, well, at the beginning of the program, I was doing this, and this was my knowledge, this was my skill, this was my behavior. Look how far that they've grown whilst on program. And it's something I encourage all delegates to do, is to reflect upon the start of their journey, reflect upon the changes in the way that they've the skills that they've developed, the way that they've developed theoretical knowledge, and maybe the behavior changes around that driving for continual improvement within their organization is a super thing to do.
Yeah. So all learners have to keep a log, needs to be connected to the KSBs, needs to be done in works time, and to follow the rules that you just said, can be done in or should be done in the timesheet function in one file. Is there anyone that's checking that?
Yes, there is, absolutely. Yeah, there is. First check will be your trainer. They will check once per week. Second check will be a program management, because behind the scenes there's a whole host of people working really hard to ensure that that this activity is embedded within the program. So yeah, my advice is, yes, people are going to be checking the quantity of hours that you're placing. They're going to be checking the actual log, the actual entry itself to see whether or not the entry is of sufficient enough detail. For example, it has the case statement, it has a description of the task and the reflection of what that has done for them. So I think it's always, with that in mind, if you know that your trainer is going to be checking it on a weekly basis, then I always think it's probably best practice to make the entries on a weekly basis. Now, the kind of advice that I give is, if you are going to make an entry every week, it's going to take you 15 minutes max. If you make an entry every 2 weeks, you're looking at 30 minutes, 3 weeks, 45 minutes, and every month, an hour. So the best practice really is to pick a point in time in your calendar, whether it be a Friday afternoon, just ring fence some time, 15, 20 minutes, where you can actually reflect upon the week that's gone before you and capture those key learning points, focusing on knowledge, skills, and behaviours. What was the task? How long did it take you to work on this activity? And stick to that practice, keep to that practice. We teach Lean Six Sigma, and I like to think of this idea as a flow issue. It's very easy to once a week drop that time into your timesheet entry, build it up over the course of the 14 months, as opposed to leaving it maybe 2 or 3 weeks and then being faced with the problem. Well, actually, what was I doing 2 weeks ago? What was I doing 3 weeks ago? Capture it at the end of the week. You can reflect upon what you've done over the course of the week, and then just have a very simple approach to OTJ entries. It's 2:15. I'm going to make 15 minutes worth of entries, and the hours, the time, the OTJ hours will just grow gradually over a course of the time.
And that regular drumbeat.
Just talk about the tack time, isn't it? We have a tack time of once every week. We're gonna drop in some time into our timesheet, as opposed to batching it all at the end of the month. Just a couple of points around the OTJ. It's OTJ is in fact 20% of your kind of available contractual working hours. But the important point to recognise is the minimum number of hours that have to be logged per week. This is a really, really important number. The minimum number of hours required for you to log is 6 hours. You can do more, and I would encourage you to do more within your development time. But a minimum of 6 hours needs to be logged. From my perspective, at least six hours per week.
Yeah. And Matt, so thinking about how learners can adopt best practice. You must see best practice all the time. What would be your top tip for learners that we can leave them with today?
First kind of top tip would be pick that time within your working week to log the hours. I would say be very familiar with the knowledge, skills, and behaviours aligned to your particular apprenticeship level. I would attempt to deepen your understanding of the knowledge, skills, and behaviours with a conversation very early on in the programme with your trainer.
Yeah. And if I might add one to that list, I think it would be to think broadly about other resources that could be useful for building capability. You mentioned mentoring, conversations with line managers, with colleagues. All of that time can count. So think creatively, think broadly, not just, here's something that was in my diary that somebody put in there for me. So that bigger picture.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point there, Kate, because you think you're an apprenticeship, you're starting your journey. There are going to be people in your organisation that have maybe been through this journey. There are going to be people in your organisation that are maybe very, very competent in the KSBs and the curriculum content. So let's engage with those people. Let's share this exciting journey that people are about to embark upon, and let's learn from people that are around us. Let's use that wealth of knowledge that organisations have to ensure that your development remains at the forefront of your own mindset.
Yeah, super. Matt, thanks so much for taking some time to talk about OTJ with us today. I really like the idea of it being a gift from employers to their learners to invest in that development. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Do subscribe so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode, where you'll find links to more content on this topic, which includes webinar recordings, toolbox guides, blogs, and infographics, and our training page. You can always drop us a line on team@pmi.co.uk and arrange a time to have a call to talk about how these tools can help you in your organisation. We'd really love to hear from you.